Okay, now let's go to other impacts on the climate. We have a multi-decade Atlantic variation and also decade Pacific variation. Can you explain us how big impact of these two variations have?
Yeah, so the IPCC identifies a number of what it calls modes of variability. The climate system oscillates, it varies, it has its own internal variability over all timescales. Everyone is familiar with this, for example, in the most obvious mode of variability, and that's the seasons, right? We go from winter to spring to summer, and that's because of the position of the Earth with respect to the sun. But there are other modes, and these have an effect on local and regional climates. Many people will be familiar with El Nino. It's in the media a lot, which refers to a warming or a cooling of the Central Pacific off the coast west of South America. That has what's called teleconnections and affects climate from Southern Africa to the United States to Asia to Europe and so on. This is one of the factors that makes it very difficult to identify the consequences of human-caused climate change on the climate system, because the consequences of human-caused climate change occur in the context of this pre-existing internal variability of the climate system. And so the IPCC identifies about 8 to 10 modes of variability which operate on various timescales that are more or less understood. But we do recognize, as you said, in the Atlantic and the Pacific, there are these very profound modes of variability that affect climate systems.
And there's this cycle of warming and heating from 60 to 80 years round, and we are now, as I understand, in the middle of one. In the next 5 years, this will be changed. What do you can say about this?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing to understand is that when people talk about cycles, we don't have really long-term records that would allow us on century timescales, as you know, 60, 80, 100 years and longer. Our records don't go far enough back. So if you have one cycle or 1.5 cycles, we should exercise a lot of caution in trying to interpret it if that is an actual mode of climate variability. It's much easier to see the effects of El Nino because El Nino occurs on 3 to 5 year timescales, and we have good records back to the 1800s. So we know that is a mode of variability.